After my abusive husband's death, I'm forced to pretend he was a great man. Despite his mistreatment and affairs, I'm now free. My husband passed away 3 months ago. I was relieved of that. He abused me financially, mentally and even physically. When I got pregnant, he convinced me to quit my job, saying that he would take care of me. I could never buy anything again without asking his permission. I couldn't even buy a cream without asking his permission, and he decided if I could or not. Even months ago that I had a little money of my own, I had to ask him for permission to buy something. What was mine was theirs and theirs was theirs. But I stayed there because I still loved him, and I didn't have a place to go. I had too low self-esteem and let myself be stepped on. When I stopped loving him, he had already had his first affair. He made me believe that I was to blame for the affair because I didn't want to have sex. Months after my birth, that left me torn and I had to receive stitches. I was already planning my exit and saving money little by little while I was working selling things from home since he was having another affair with a friend of his, which luckily kept him busier, and I didn't care anymore that he didn't pay attention to me. I wanted him to stay as far away as possible. I knew that man and he knew me. I could have made a big fuss, but I didn't. I kept quiet, planning my way out while he and that man slept together in secret. I only felt disgusted by my husband, nothing more. But my husband died in a way I never would have expected. He is now a martyr. When someone dies, all the sins of that person disappear, because that's what even my family thinks. Those who knew about his affair and how he manipulated me are now talking about how good a man he was, and we shouldn't insult someone who's dead. Everyone around me talks about how beautiful our relationship was. His family talks about what a great man he was, and how he always focused on giving everything to me and our kid. His affair partner hugged me at the funeral, saying that my husband loved me. His friends told me what a great person he was. Everyone talks about how good but he was, and how he is now an angel in heaven, and I have to pretend to be sad. The day he died, I cried a lot, but not out of sadness. I cried with relief, and I felt free. It would have taken me too many years to save to pay for lawyers with my little store without him realizing that I was keeping money in secret. He would have kept everything. He would have made my life a hell, and I know it because he had told me so every time I stood for myself. But now I have the house. I have everything. I have the monthly money for being a widow. I have my children totally with me. I have started to become a psychologist. Everyone thinks that I do it to cope with my grief, but no, it is to overcome the abuse I suffered from him. It was really hard to pretend to be sad at the funeral, but I did it for my child. I did it because now everything is over and I'm free. If I made a fuss, my ex-mill would have done something so that I wouldn't keep anything. They were just like him. But now I'm just a sad widow who needs help in their eyes, the silly widow who didn't know anything, but that's helping me to be free and have what I deserve. Sorry for the bad English. I use the translator for many parts. We are not from an Islamic country, and here same-sex couples can live and marry freely. He just cheated on me with a man like he cheated on me with a woman. I guess he was bisexual. Now to the next story. Story 2. Fiancé's graduation party exposes deal breaker. LGBTQ plus acceptance splits 4-year relationship. We met in college and decided to not get married until we graduated to focus on our studies, and we have been dating for 4 years. He proposed to me during his last semester of his master's program, and he is studying to become a teacher. I graduated with my bachelor's not too long ago, but his graduation party is showing a side of him that I believe to be a deal breaker. His graduation party will be held at his father's house, which has a pretty. However, unlike our wedding invitation list, he said he didn't want to invite Jason, fake name, and his parents because he recently came out as gay, and that led to a conversation. Jason and his parents were invited to our wedding, so that made me ask why he didn't want them at the graduation. He said that the wedding wasn't his thing, and that he was willing to compromise because it was our wedding. But when it came to the graduation, he said it was a him thing because he was the one who graduated, so he didn't have to, because he did the school work. When I asked what he meant by compromise, he said he'd tolerate Jason at our wedding because that's what couples do, but the graduation was about him. When I asked if he'd support potential future children that came out, he said he'd tolerate it for me, although he disagreed with it. It is my fault for not asking that question earlier before we became engaged, but he made his stance clear. He said he'd be more distant to a child that turned out to be gay and would probably let me do more of parenting if so. He's always been a gentleman and amazing to me, but he grew up religious. Parents were Christians, although he said he's not anymore. I don't think we have a future after. He said he would distance himself from a child who came out and leave it to me, and I just want to ask how to tell him so. I'm thinking about another conversation like we had, but I want to ask for the best way to go about it. What would be the best way to tell him that I don't think we have a future together, given his stance? First update, reread it, recovered, June 11th, 2023. A lot of people suggested talking to my fiancé in an open space or my parents' home about my deal breaker, but I wasn't able to do it at my parents' home, although I got to talk to them, and they agreed with my reasoning. They said they were disturbed by how easily he admitted he would distance himself from a potentially gay child and that it was a good thing it came out before the wedding. I also got a lot of people calling me out for not broaching the topic, gay children, or how he felt about LGBTQ in the years we dated, and that's on me for never thinking to bring up. Going forward, it will be something I ask early on before getting emotionally invested in a relationship. Because I couldn't speak to him at my parents' place, we ended up talking at a place we went for lunch, and I told him that I couldn't go forward in the relationship because he repeatedly said he wouldn't accept any children who came out. But when I said that, he didn't try to take it back and said that he was willing compromise for me. He said it was better than pretending to agree with coming out, and that he was being honest. But I told him I was done because of his beliefs, and he didn't take it well. He took it fine at the restaurant and finished lunch without saying much else, and he kept saying I was overreacting and that he couldn't believe I wanted to end the relationship over him wanting to compromise. My parents have been helping me with canceling the wedding, but he took his spite online. He made a Facebook rant a few days after that, doubled down on a lot of the things he said, and he said he made it to explain his side of things. He said that I was breaking up with him despite him being honest about his willingness to compromise and not hiding it like many couples internalize things. He also said our country was changing things that were always wrong, such as gay rights, and he said that people were trying to shove gay rights down everyone's throats. He also said that you can't say anything these days because of cancel culture and Me Too catering to sensitive people, and he said that the value of education was dropping because people were becoming more stupid. He also said that that was why he wanted to become a teacher, because there weren't enough good ones, and those were just a few of the things in his rant. He also said that Me Too enabled people from the consequences of their behavior when they should instead look at themselves in the mirror and how they dress too. He never said anything about Me Too during the duration of our relationship, or anything that was outspoken about gay rights until his graduation planning, and it was honestly surprising to read what he wrote. As I said above, I will be asking these questions at the start of dating going forward. Lastly, some people suggested reporting my ex-fiancé to the school in my previous post because they said he could be harmful to gay students, and I especially agree. After the post he made, I did receive a lot of hateful DMs from people who agreed with my ex and said that I'd be wrong to contact the school. Some even accused me of considering canceling him in DMs, and a few comments on my last post. But I don't see it as that. I see calling the school as something that's important because this mindset is harmful to so many, and he is already a substitute teacher at an elementary school. He began subbing before he graduated. I want to ask what would be the best way to go about it, whether that would be an email, phone call, or potential visit to do it in person. I have already screenshotted the post he made, and I've only answered questions about the breakup from people who have called so far. My parents are helping me with some people who have called them too, but that is my last. Second update, August 20th, 2023. I didn't really plan to make another post, but I received a lot more DMs after my update was shared that made me want to come back, and I read through many of the comments there too, which made me want to address something to those who called me out for not seeing any signs of his homophobia earlier. You're absolutely right. I just assumed the best and never thought to question it, but I will now ask the tough questions going forward at the beginning of future relationships, such as political stances along with opinions on race and gender, and that should help prevent time from being wasted on people similar to my ex. I just assumed the best because we have another friend who is trans and was always cool with him, and my ex used to like a post that he made when he came out some years back. He also liked a post that he shared at a pride walk, so there was that too. Going forward, I won't assume anymore because at the end of the day, a like really doesn't mean anything. I sent an email with an attachment of his now deleted Facebook rant to a few places. The school he subs at was subbing at before he graduated, and the school district along with the county office of education where we live, thanks to a commenter who I DM'd for more advice. I also told people I knew about why we were breaking up and showed them the post, and that did most of the talking for me. I broke up with my ex before contacting the school, and I decided on a text because we didn't live together, and also had my dad return the ring to his parents' home where he gave it to his mom and had minimal interaction. I was too scared/cowardly to do it myself, so I took them on their offer to drop it off for me. In the text, I told him that I couldn't marry him due his homophobic comments and opinion, along with telling him that my parents would drop off the ring so that it was in writing, and I blocked him after sending. He didn't have any belongings at my place, but he's been livid about the way I handled it and all. Admit that I was afraid to do it face to face because I was a coward, but he took to Facebook again. He made another post talking about how dad returned the ring instead of me, and that I didn't give him credit for being honest about his willingness to compromise, and proceeded to ghost him, pretty much erasing the purpose of his deleted post by referring to the same. I'll admit that I was cowardly about how I handled it, but what really surprised me was when his dad took to Facebook about it too, and he accused me of canceling him for an opinion he shared, along with saying that communication and marriage is dead. He called me reader_ed in his post and that people like me were the reason Trump lost because no one had morals. He also said that Trump needed to win again to stop canceling culture because his son was punished for his opinion. I want to remind you that my ex was not religious, despite his parents being big Christians, but I'm guessing he vented to them about it and is back involved in some way, given the post. The last thing I'll say is this, and I kept it to the end, because I'm not looking for advice, as I'm only taking it from a lawyer on this matter that my parents have helped me contact. My ex called my job and apparently told them that I had CP and that was why he left, and I don't know where he pulled that out of his ass from. I don't know if he talked about the emails I sent to the district involving his post, but my dad seems to think that it might be retaliation, although he's not sure, because it's only been a few weeks. He thinks it could be retaliation for my letter to the district or for ghosting him, but we're looking into a lawyer as I was recently made aware of the accusation at my job when I was talked to, and that is where my focus lies. I'm not going to make any future posts because I've still received a lot of hateful DMs telling me that I was wrong to report him to the school, but I stand with my decision to do so. I really appreciate the advice I received and hope that at the least, telling the school will have done some good. Someone also suggested looking into LGBTQ things to support and give energy to, and I'll look into that once I'm past this job situation. Third update, September 9th, 2023. I said that last time was gonna be my last post, but I really mean it with this one. Before I get into why though, I just want to say again that I'm sorry for not seeing his homophobia earlier. Many people have cursed at me in DMs asking how 4 years of dating never showed it, and I thought I apologized in my last post, but I kept getting those messages, so I just wanna say again that I'm sorry and that, going forward, I'll ask for political gender beliefs on the first date, to not waste time with potentially hateful people. I'm just tired of being yelled at about it, and there have been some supportive comments too, but the majority of them are either calling me out for not seeing it, or for wrongfully canceling him and agreeing with many of the points his father made in his Facebook rant. If the news was on TV, as we were doing something, eating, my ex didn't voice his homophobia then as many asked. And when we talked about kids, it was wrong of me to not ask what he'd think if they came out. Lesson learned for next time. As previously mentioned, we also had a friend who came out, and he's very close to them in accepting. But with that out of the way, I'll get to why this is my last post. Aside from the majority of hateful DMs, my ex's dad hasn't stopped posting about me on Facebook, and it's all pretty much the same as canceling culture rants from last time and calling me a leftist, among other things. I have also received a Reddit, and I directly blame him and his dad for this. I mentioned last time that I was looking into a lawyer, and my parents have helped me with the search, which has been helpful because of how his dad continued. His dad posted my socials and home address to one of his Facebook posts, thus why I deleted my Instagram, and he said that he was going to cancel me back too. Another reason I contacted a lawyer was because I received a threatening DM, but that's the most I'm gonna go into specifics. I only received one of those, but it was enough to make me and my parents want to be on the safer side, and that's another reason why I'm done making these posts, because I want this whole thing to be over soon. I really appreciate the supportive DMs I received in the midst of the hateful ones, and I also appreciate the majority of supportive comments from Boru that were sent to me by someone in a DM too. I really hope the whole thing is over soon because it's been draining, but hopefully the lawyer can at least provide some peace of mind. Fourth update, January 27th, 2024. I'm going to update the bottom of my post instead of a new one because of the sensitivity of what's happened the past few months. The past few months have been really tough, and the encouragement I've gotten from reading my story on Boru has helped more than I can express. Everyone there has been really supportive, so much to the point that I reread the comments for reassurance when I feel down. Sometimes, when I broke up with him and told the school about him, I didn't know the next months would be so tough. So I need to vent to get it out because things have been stressful. When I mentioned how my ex's father has been posting about me on Facebook, in my previous posts, he posted my home address and a link to my socials in one of his rants, where he said he'd cancel me back for canceling his son, and that led to me, among other things, looking into a lawyer. However, I also moved back into my parents for a few reasons since my last post. Someone slashed my tires in front of my home at night, and to this day I don't know who. I have no proof that it's connected to him putting my address on Facebook, but I think it could have been. I also made a police report, but they didn't find who did it. I also mentioned in my last post that I was getting threats without going into specifics, but to be honest, some of them were dia_h threats that gave me lots of anxiety. I'm guessing they could be from some of my ex's friends or his father's, but I also received a lot of messages on my socials. Since his Facebook post where he linked my socials, that led to me deleting my socials, many cursing me out and calling me woke, among other things. My Reddit posts were also picked up by numerous TikTok accounts that share Reddit stories with a video game playing in the background, and I was recently made aware of 3 of them that seemed to garner some attention, one with 80k views, and a couple hundred comments, another with 20k, and a fair bit of the comments were supportive of my ex. That also directed traffic back to my Reddit post that led to a few more hateful DMs since my last update, along with a fair bit of supportive ones too. So that was another wave of messages to go through. I have no quarrel with the videos themselves, because many comments were supportive too, and the channels share other Reddit stories too. The fact that some commented in agreement with my ex doesn't make the video bad either, but was just a realization of homophobia. Some comments made fun of Jason for coming out while others said my ex was right to uninvited him. It's just been a lot, and I came back to get it off my chest. I know I'll get more hateful comments after updating, but I also want to say I don't regret what I did. My ex hid his homophobia. We had friends who came out who he supported, and he came to pride marches with them too. As many commented, the mask came off eventually. In regards to the CP accusations from my ex-father, child pornography for those who were confused in the comments in my previous post where I didn't indicate my parents helped hire a lawyer, but I won't go into specifics on that. All I'll say is that we're taking it seriously and are taking legal action against it. If anything comes from it, I'll share it in an update. The tire slashing and threats also did a number on my mental health, but it showed me some things too. The DMS also showed me just how ruthless people are. Strangers who would never say such things to my face. I'm considering moving out of state, but I'm currently with my parents for safety reasons now. I especially appreciate reading the supportive comments DMS that aren't hateful because they really help, and I'm also with a therapist, but progress hasn't been great yet. There's a lot of mental health stuff I don't feel going into specifics about. It's been a lot of craziness, but I hope it calms down with time. Final update made by Oops Parents. August 3rd, 2024. I have been in contact recently about something my husband and I wanted to share, and we asked if she would post it to Boru after they covered some of our daughter's updates. The person who made the previous updates was our daughter, and she shared the post with us as we tried to navigate her situation. Many of the comments from Boru were very supportive, and that is a big reason why I'm here today. The main reason, however, is because she committed suicide a few weeks ago and the funeral has already happened. We fully supported her decision to leave her ex after he showed colors we hadn't seen before. We were also in the process of receiving legal advice regarding the accusations that were made against her too. But even as we did, she was often overwhelmed and depressed, even to the point of not wanting to get out of bed. Sometimes, or even certain days, we were able to help her find a therapist, but there was so much going on all at once, from the death threats in DMS to the slashing of tires and her ex's father posting her address alongside one of his online rants. She ended up taking an unpaid leave of absence from her job shortly after the slashing to move in with us. Before that, her job also called her into the office to discuss the allegations made against her from her ex, and the culmination of everything was so overwhelming. Her ex and his father posted so much about her with no regards to doxing her, and we are in the process of pursuing them legally for the role they played in everything. Regarding her ex, he is still a teacher. As of writing this, his father hasn't stopped attacking her online even after she passed, and we have documented everything he posted. We also told everyone who knew her how proud we were not only of her decision to break up, but also to ensure that his hatred wasn't spread to others by reporting his post to the district. And we owe thanks to the many Redditors who told her how to report it to the district. There were also some comments in DMS that said she brought backlash upon herself by reporting him, but we believe that she did the right thing and that she was braver than most. I have been in her shoes. She could have done nothing and simply broke up with him, and no one would have batted an eye. She wasn't obliged to do anything else, but she felt convicted to care for kids she'd never meet. And if she prevented one kid from his hatred, it is that much more worth it. For her sake, we are continuing to pursue her ex and his father legally, but we wanted to thank everyone who told her how to tell the district, because we need more people like her and you, and making this post is therapeutic in itself because we've told others how she did the right thing as well. We truly appreciate everyone who supported her and gave her advice.